Because there's a lot of people that we know, similar backgrounds and other things, that haven't figured it out and not as connected, you know. And I'm not talking about like women versus men, you know what I'm saying? Because it's always going to be a big difference, in that way. But I'm saying it more so from the standpoint of just like people we know, like guys that we know, people we chill with, and just like it's like because it's important, like, and I want to dig in this idea of the Simpson because I don't want to just gloss over it because he's going to go into the idea of the spheroids and their response, specifically how they function. But one of the things I was thinking about today. I went to the Temple Mount, and 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 I really like got very connected to the purity of the Temple Mount and the purity of Jerusalem, right? One of the things that the Torah warns us about, like, is coming to Jerusalem and committing sins, and how Hashem would like basically like vomit you out of the land, right? And you think about like why is Hashem so harsh? It's like I mean, on a practical level, you can say like, okay, what's Hashem's house? You got to respect it. If you go to someone else's house, you disrespect it, they kick you out. These are Hashem's rules, and I like that. I mean, it makes sense. But I want to look at it in new lenses, and I want to utilize this lens to kind of increase our level of connection to purity, right? So the idea is like this. So we talked about that we have Hashem, master of the universe, master of everything, and in his ratzon, his will is expressed in infinite ways. But one of the ways that we understand, or one of the aspects that we understand, is through this frame called the endless world, the Ein Sof, right? The endless reality. And this endless reality are these expressions of various lights, right? Which has to connect to why these lights exist, whatever. It's a whole big conversation, but we kind of went through it, right? I'm just more interested in for someone listening. So he created this endless world of life, and then the story progresses, and Hashem decides to create something even outside of that, that's connected to us, right? Because the endless world is beyond our logic. We will never understand how far, how vast it is. We haven't anything. We don't have the human capabilities. Don't have the ability to rationalize the endless world, let alone Hashem. It's an obvious point, right? So what we can analyze is this mechanism that was created by Hashem in this endless world, and this mechanism that he created is called the Simpson. Now, this is the key to the Ramchal's teaching because before this time, I mean, everyone will understand like constrictions, the lights, the whole thing. How it exactly worked, I was never clear on it, but I knew the story, because it's the story most people you kind of like get into Kabbalah. They know the story. Here's the story, right? So, so that's the dynamic, right? So that he creates this world outside of the Ein Sof. In this world that's outside of the Ein Sof is connected to the Ein Sof. And the lights, and there's a certain amount of lights in the Ein Sof that become manifest, right? They become manifest in this new world in a much more in-depth and expansive way, where to the point where the lights that are manifested gain a sense of material, right? They gain a sense of material. So like even emotions, right? Emotions are lights. Happiness, sadness, these things are all lights. Everything physically we see around us, it's all lights, right? Now the Ramchal brings that the Simsum is a separation between this reality and this limited reality. But they said the basis of the Simsum is a governing mechanism, meaning that like see it more so as there's a set of lights that were put into a frame of limitation, right? Into a plane, a frame of restriction, right? The full light is not revealed, right? The light of the endless world is not revealed. It goes to a constriction in its reality and this constriction expresses this light in the limitation, right? So that's the idea, the limitation, right? So what we're over here is a simple point. Now we have to understand the idea of Shoma and Nagia, meaning not touching, or men and women being separate, during Nida, you know, preferably married couples, right? And that separation, like now we can understand in a new way, because that separation that we have is or that restriction, right? That restriction is imitating the very mechanism that created the reality that we live in. The things that Hashem tells us to restrict from, whether it's food, whether it's ideas, whether it's things we look at, all these things where does this concept of restriction come from? Why is it part of the Bria? Why do we have to deal with this concept of restriction? Right? Oh, because God said so. Okay, very nice. I agree with you. But now that God told me and I agree with him, I at least can ask why, no? And so that's the teaching that Ram Kaur is bringing us, this idea of saying that the lights themselves go through a process of restriction. That's how they make manifest in this world. And so God is telling us the goodness, right? And the happiness that we want in our life, the connection to him that we want in our life can also only come through simsim, restriction, constriction, right? That same process of how Hashem created the world that we live in through the simsim, that restriction of light is the basis of our relationship with halakha. We're imitating the creation of the world by having restriction, right? And the most powerful restriction is with the opposite sex, right? That separation is so incredibly important, because this is the idea of the endless world making itself, bittling itself and going into one place, right? Which is a simsum, right? The same way the endless world and the simsum are together, the same way man and woman. Man representing the endless world, woman representing the finite. And so what we're saying is, in order for that unity to happen, there has to be a restriction, right? A simsum. But the Ramchal brings out everything in our reality is an expression of the simsum, not just the separation between the endless world and the limited world, right? You see, even the physical beings that are created in the world of the simsum, those beings are also of the government. So like the fact that me and you see ourselves, if we're just all light, right? The essence of me is Parsufim and the Neshama. Well, in that case, me and you are not very different, right? We're pretty much almost identical in ways, but we're expressing one idea of the same source, right? One idea of the same source, right? So that one idea with the same source, right, is who me and you are. Now, why do I see myself separate from you? That's the simsum. Why do I see myself separate from the tree? Why do I see myself separate from the ant? Why do I see myself separate from the walls in the room? That is the simsum. The simsum reveals specific lights and express themselves in limitation. They're restricting themselves. The only way that I can appreciate a tree is that I have a concealment that allows me to go through an investigative process to build a relationship with the tree. If it was just all light, that's what would it be. That's what it is in the endless world, right? When we're with Hashem, it's just endless light. Only through this world can we earn Hashem's light. Can we build a vessel, right? So that's what we're working with, right? Is this idea of looking at the Holocaust, because we're human beings again, right? That's what Rosh Hashanah, we're humans again. Forget about everything, what country you're from, nation, this, blah, blah. You're a human again. Let's start there. So if we're saying by the human, what makes the human a human? Simsun. He's a light. Just like all the other lights that are created. It's the Simsun. It's that limited expression that creates differentiation. It creates time. It creates space. It creates motion. This whole thing is a series of constrictions, because only through the constriction can we be compelled to go outside of that natural nature. It's interesting. I was talking to this guy today, when I was in the Temple Mount, and he's a guy, he's a big advocate for Temple Mount stuff, whatever. And he was saying to me, like, he grew up like, in like, pretty much like a black neighborhood, growing up in New York, whatever. And he was just saying like how during those times there was so much like racial progression. They saw this like new America that they thought was going to happen. He said, 40 years later, we're in the same place. And I said to him, the thing is about the non-Jews, as much as you can talk about their constitution, you could talk about their government, you could talk about their philosophy, there's no mechanism of real change other than self-preservation, right? I'm willing to make a change if it makes me feel safer. I'm willing to change if it makes me feel better about myself. But the concept of change for the sake of change itself, the concept of becoming closer to Hashem, the concept of being with this progressive world that's going to eventually be recreated, that world that's not even on it's self-preservation. So you see America, like how far can America go? So this is the idea, right? And so we want to be able to really connect to this idea of differentiation and this dynamic of purity, because it's through the purity that, like, what's the main idea about Rosh Hashanah in the rule? Like, if you want to just really just make it as simple as possible, the most simple way to explain Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is basically you're removing the layers in as many layers as possible as you can in the Lul to be able to create, or not create, to be able to experience this reality that Hashem has planned for you. Hashem has a plan for you. He has your year set up. He has your success set up. He has your everything that you think everything that you want. You don't want it. Hashem made you want it, right? Whatever you're lacking for, you want it. You're not thinking about the minerals in the Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not thinking about the minerals in the Ukraine, right? But you are thinking about like children. Are you thinking about a wife? Are you thinking about making money? Are you thinking about these types of, you are thinking about, but you're not thinking about the minerals in the Ukraine. Why not? Because Hashem didn't make you think about it. So the things that Hashem makes us desire, the things that He makes us long for, we have to remove the ego that says like, this is my thought. No, it's Hashem's thought. What is the power in it being Hashem's thought? Because Hashem's thought is only to create the desire, man should not be alone. And then He creates the what? Hashem creates the lack and He provides. But the ego gets involved and says like, oh man, I got to do something about this. I got these yearnings. I got these desires. I got to do something about it. Well, okay, but Hashem gave you that desire, right? Guys, they're single. They want to, they want to have sex with girls. Hashem gave you that desire, right? So what is the concept of Rosh Hashanah? Making Hashem king. What does that mean, make him king? It's obvious he's king. We've just been doing tshuva the whole Rosh Hashanah, all of the Elul, right? We've been asking for forgiveness since the 17th of Talmud. So what do you mean Hashem is king? No, Hashem has to be king over every thought, every desire, every impulse, every emotion, every body part. Hashem has to be placed, has to be crowned on all these different aspects of our personality and our dynamic. Because we can't say I believe in Hashem, but then when it comes to this, no, Hashem's king or not. He's Malach or not. I mean, it's up to you. He gives you the bechira to decide. But that's what ultimately we're trying to get to. Because if we just allow Hashem to be in charge, He's going to provide what we. I mean, it's His desire. It's not my desire. That's the key game. It's not my desire. It's Hashem's desire. Now I have bechira, I have free will to be able to decide how I deal with that desire. Right? How I deal with that desire. Right? I have that free will to deal with it and express it in that way. Right? I have that. But at the end of the day, it's not my desire. It's not my thought. It's not my ratzon. Everything is Hashem. I'm just a vessel. I'm just a vessel. Oh, you made this mistake. You did. Okay, Hashem made me do it. He gave me the ratzon. He didn't give me the clarity. Okay. So now I have to do tshuva. But it's still Hashem. Right? So it's just saying like giving over everything to Hashem. Giving over everything to Hashem. This is Rosh Hashanah. I give it away. It's all you, Hashem. My body desires are for you, Hashem. My eyes, my impulses, my even my fears. I have to give my fears over to you. I have a fear right now. Okay, it's Hashem's fear. Not my fear. It's Hashem's fear. I have anxiety. It's Hashem anxiety. It's not my anxiety. It's Hashem's anxiety. Why does He want me? I don't know. My job is to acknowledge that it's Hashem. That's it. That's my job. Is acknowledge. Okay, I'm depressed. Okay, it's Hashem's depression. Why is He making me feel this way? I don't know, but I got to investigate. Guy has enormous sexual desire, but he's single. What does he do? I don't know. It's Hashem's sexual desire. He put it inside of you. Maybe He's going to give you confidence to go after that girl you'd be too shy to talk to, right? But in a kosher way. So I'm going to use that desire, that testosterone, to be able to do a Kiddush Hashem, which is bringing a woman into a home and providing for a woman and having children. Right? But I'm going to use that sexual desire to get off my tuchus and go out there and get creative. Right? Same way these guys, these slick talking guys, go out there and they convince girls to sleep with them. Okay, go out there and convince a girl to go stand in the Cooper with you. Right? Same thing. So if Hashem's Melech, if He's the king of your life, that means that everything that you have it has to be checked by the king. In corporations, that is in quality control, right? Where there's a department that looks at whatever the service, whatever the product is, and it makes sure it's being expressed and delivered in the way that the owners and shareholders of the companies, have been told that it was going to be, right? Quality control. Okay, so what's my quality control for my life? My life, where's the quality control at? Everything is from Hashem. That's it. Empty out the ego. Stop it. Stop it. No more. No more. I'm depressed. No, Hashem is giving me this energy. I'm depressed. He's giving me, because this is what my heart and my soul needs to be dealing with right now. So He gave me this emotion, right? It makes me happy, right? Hashem makes me happy, right? I didn't make myself happy. Hashem gave me happiness. He gave me happiness. I'm depressed. Hashem gave me depression. Hashem gave me excitement. Hashem gave me excitement. Nothing is mine. Everything is Hashem. Hashem becomes king on Rosh Hashanah. Because, maybe we dirtied ourselves, right? And we couldn't it's hard to see it. It's like I dirtied myself. And it's like, and then when you dirty yourself, you start thinking you're the cause, right? You're the cause. I made this happen. I made this mistake. No, Hashem made you think in this way. Hashem could have created complete clarity, complete light, and you would have never made one mistake in your entire life, ever. You'll be like Binyamin, Yosef's brother, never committed a sin. Right? You'll be just like these people, right? Never committed a sin. Right? That's who you would be. But Hashem created a concealment, and that concealment made you act in this way that the ego was aroused, and you thought that you could create rules on your own, and you could just go because the pleasure that you're being presented with is like the Satan was whispering in your ear and said, you're never going to have a chance at this pleasure again. Take it now. Take it now. You're like, no, but Hashem says, no, take it now. You're never going to get it again. The same thing that the Nachash said to Chava, right? That same conversation, right? And that's why we commit every sin. If I had complete clarity, right? Like Yosef saw, he looks over, the Midrashim says he looks in the mirror, he sees himself, he sees his father Yaakov, he remembers Yaakov, he remembers the Torah, he remembers the Torah, he remembers the Kisei HaKavod, he remembers the Kisei HaKavod, he remembers Hashem, right? So if I had complete clarity, I would have never committed a sin. That's the truth, that's the emes. So why didn't I have complete clarity? Because of this, because of that, because, I didn't learn enough Torah when I was younger, okay, fine. But either way, Hashem created the context, and Hashem gave you the desire, Hashem created the concealment. And the same thing goes with success. You didn't do anything. Stop it. Stop thinking like you're a genius. Stop thinking you're making things happen. Stop thinking I'm putting all this together. Wow, look how amazing. If you do that, you're out of the game. Because the game is, what is God? What has God created for me? That's the adventure of life. Not what I can accomplish, not what could I can achieve. That is small. That is small. What's reality is, what did Hashem in the blueprint, in the Bria Olam, when I was created, when I was conceived, it was a whole blueprint of what I'm supposed to accomplish. That's what I want to know. Because I've been influenced by society and people's insecurities and public school systems, and I don't need any of that. I don't need any of that. I'm not interested, right? I'm not interested. I'm interested in God's plan for me. What is His plan for me? What does He have? I'm not concerned with the type of woman I want. I've never been successful with that strategy. I haven't. I haven't. I want to know what girl Hashem wants for me. What woman? That's what I want to know. And therefore, the only way I can get there is through purity. The only way I know the type of business deals and opportunities financially that are kosher, the only way that I can get those is through purity. What does it mean, purity? Purity means lack of sin. Purity means following the system of Chazal, the sages, who created a comprehensive system for us to function until Mashiach comes. Right? When Mashiach comes, there's going to be massive upgrades. Right? Massive upgrades. But not until then. Right now, we have the Masorah, we have the traditions of learning, everything. Mashiach's going to bring a whole new way of understanding everything. Everything is over. Even certain holidays, it's going to be a crazy time. Certain halachot, it's a new reality, right? So that's where we're going. That's the end product. The end product isn't success. That's goyish, right? The end product for us is Mashiach. Mashiach on a personal level, and then on a community level, and then in the world level. Right? And so, when we think about that, that concept, I should just be very humble, because it's like we're not there. Like it's like, that's one of the other problems with like the public school system, is that it rewards us based off of performance. And so we perceive that if we do these particular things in a particular way, yeah, we get, that's what we can learn some of the laws of God. Hold on a second. Mhm. Let's see. Just want to see if some of the laws for Rosh Hashanah, to get a little bit on that halakha level a little bit. Um, so I'm looking at, looking again at the Shulchan Aruch and looking at a lot of the halakot. A lot of it is minhagim. A lot of it is minhagim. But one of the things I do want to talk about in preparation for Rosh Hashanah, so the main idea, obviously, the main idea that we have on Rosh Hashanah for the meal is the simani, right? Like signs, right? And what the simanim are is a way to connect this idea of thought and action. Meaning that I have this thought that of something that I want, something I want to achieve, whatnot. I have this thought. I have this thought, But I had this thought, but the materialization of that concept may never happen. And so what we want to do is we want to return back to that level of Adam in the original state where he had thoughts and they manifest. The Midrashim, it talks about Adam having thoughts and he's manifesting all these things, all these desires, all these connections, even a wife, right? Even a wife, right? And so this idea of the wife, this idea of the manifestation is something, the power that Adam had before the Chet. When he fell out of the Chet, after the Chet, after the sin, after the disconnection, when he fell out of that, this is where when he fell out of it, that's when he fell out of it, that's when he fell out of it, that's when he lost that ability of thought creating reality. Then thought had to go through a whole process to fully manifest, right? You know, he had to labor for his bread, right? As before, bread is gluten free, according to Midrashim. So this idea of thought and action is the original mechanism of how man was designed, with thought and then through speech he was able to create reality, right? Naming animals, creating his wife, the whole thing, right? And so this dynamic of that's what we return back to. So the simanim on the Suda is that combination of thought and action. That's what it is. Because we're taking a thought, a desire, and we're saying that we have the ability on Rosh Hashanah to bring it down into manifestation, and we utilize the simani, the carrots, the fish heads, the eyes, whatever you come up with, the gematria of this and that, blah, blah, everyone has a thing, right? But we utilize that to reconnect our mind to that ability, right? Because even Michael Hamatim is not just people who are in the ground that resurrect, right? It's also people that it's also people that have certain aspects of them that are also dead, right? Relationships that die, they also could be resurrected from the dead. Business relationships, love, intimacy, creativity, passion. You can lose these things. They can die within you. People go through heartbreak, they go through difficulties, and certain parts of them are dead. They think, I don't feel it anymore. Michael Hamatim. So this idea of resurrecting the original thinking process of man is what we're expressing in the Simani, right? We're going back to that original place of our ability to heal ourselves, the ability to create innovations, the ability to see the innocence and the connection of all things. We have the ability to reconnect those concepts. And so on the Suda itself, which is basically a korban, right? It's a korban, right? We're all priests. We're sitting at the Mizbeach, and we're having a korban that's bringing down the divine light from the heavens into this room. The same way it would for the Mizbeach. So that's what it is. Same thing on Shabbos, same thing on Yom Tov, no? So that's what it is. So we're using the power of the Mizbeach, which is like a satellite dish, right? A satellite dish that is bringing down Shefa from Shemayim. Shefa we can't imagine, is beyond our logic. It's connected to the Parsufim. It's a whole other reality. It's coming down. And the Mishbeach, what happens to be the table that we're eating from, acts as that technology where we're able to harness that light like a satellite dish, right? The satellite dish is able to bring down this invisible information and energy, and it makes manifest inside of the person's house like a television, right? So in that same way, we bring down lights from the heaven, and they make manifest themselves in this world on the table. The table is kodesh. The table is holy, right? Everything on the table is holy. All the utensils, all the vessels. This is a mishbeach. This is karbonos. For what? The new moon. Of what? Tishri. What's going on Tishri? there's all types of things. There's some say that man was created on this day. Some say it's from the years, the Yovel years, all the different sections of times of counting for the harvesting season, right? All these things are going on. This is one of the 4 new years, according to the Talmud. It's the new year of man, right? It's the new year of man for mankind, right? Not just the Jewish people. All of mankind is judged, but guess what? Who's showing up on the day? The day when all mankind is judged, all men, all human beings on planet Earth are judged on this day. Who is there begging Hashem for Rahmanas for planet Earth? Who's doing it? The Jewish people. The people are like, oh, y'all not the real Jews. Y'all not the real. Okay, well, even if you was right, we're still the ones praying on the day of judgment, the Yom HaDin. We're the ones removing the din from the world because of our devekut, because of our love for Hashem. If you're trying to say I'm not something, okay, you can say that, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it, right? Unless you say Tishri is not the day of judgment for mankind. If you're saying it's not, okay, then maybe your argument has some basis. But if you're saying I'm not something, but I'm saving your life because of my actions, because of my avoda, because of the things I'm doing, I'm making your life better. I'm making your children's life better. I'm making your city better, your neighborhood, your country, your state. I'm doing that because I'm removing the din, I'm removing the judgment from your community because I'm asking God on your behalf on the day of judgment. I'm asking Hashem on your behalf to protect you and your family on the day of judgment. And you say, well, you're not real. You know what? You're telling me I'm not real because you don't want me to have any ego so I could be a more pure channel. Okay, I get it. Totally, I get it. But nevertheless, the point still remains that at the end of the day, we're standing in front of God and we're testifying for all of humanity that we're going to do better. We haven't given up. We're fighting for Mashiach. We're fighting for the base of Mikdash. We're fighting for the Torah, the words of Torah to be on the four corners of the world. We're fighting for all the tribes to come back. We're fighting for all these things, right? That's what we're fighting for. So that's the concept of dealing with what does it mean to stand on Rosh Hashanah. If Hashem is Melech, Hashem is over everything. Everything that's a part of you, he's over, right? Every emotion, every thought, and you got to do quality control. I have this desire, like I use sexual impulse. It's one of the most powerful desires that destroyed so many people, right? Wreck lifetimes, ruined because people use sexual desire in the wrong way. They used it in the wrong way and they destroyed themselves because the base principle of man and woman is purity, constriction. And if you don't have constriction and separation, what is the word kodesh? What does kodesh mean? It means to be separate. To be separated. What is the Simpson? The whole basis of the world that we live in is kodesh as it relates to the Ein Sof. The whole basis of the world is purity. The whole thing, the whole world, when it says Bereshit bara Elohim, the whole world itself is in the Pesach, it's in the frame of din. I mean, not din in terms of judgment, like, oh, everything's bad. No, din in terms of separation. Separation is the key to all of our superpowers. Separation is the Beikut, it's the connection, the clinging to Hashem. It's the separation that makes us holy, the separation from the opposite sex. We had an event here last night, right? Really big. I put a little video up, but it didn't do it justice of how many people were here. But the point is saying after the event, I talked to one of the performers. We're putting a mechitza up in the apartment. Anytime we have events, men and women are separate. We're looking for a device to put so women could be on one side and men could be on the other side. Why? Because people, it's a safe space. It's a safe space. It's not a hookup place. It's a safe space. right? So we're going to bring a mechitza, right? A divider, the separation. Why? Because this is how the world was created. Not because we're religious and we're just so overly, we're just really horny and we can't control ourselves and this and we're looking at no, we're imitating how Hashem created the world. The Ein Sof, as we say, the Simsun. The Simsun is a world of modesty. It's a world of mavataling. It's a world of vittaling. It's a world of concealment. This is the entire bird. We're not even talking about planet Earth. I'm saying everything: the galaxies, the sun, the planets, everything, the universes, the galaxies, all that is in the frame of modesty. Why? Because the frame of it is simsun. What is simsun? Constriction. What is constriction? A frame of concealment. A concealment of what? The full potential of the lights that are being revealed. And so that's why Hashem says when you're in Jerusalem, in order to come and do actions of holiness, you have to live in a place of purity. You have to fight for purity. You have to fight. You have to protect your eyes. You have to protect your eyes at all costs. You have to protect your ears. You have to protect even smelling, even the perfumes of other women. You have to protect yourself. And some people say, "Oh, that sounds radical. That sounds, like extreme." No, I want to be in line with the universe because the world that I live in told me that if I give away myself, I get the world, right? I give away my sexuality, I give away my energy, I give away everything, I give away my time, my energy, my intelligence, give it to the system. And then I'm going to achieve the fulfillment and the potential that I'm supposed to in this lifetime. That's what the world told me. Hashem is telling me, no, it's through the concealment, it's through the separation for the things that He has designated for us. That's how I reach my potential. I believe in Hashem. I'm not concerned with the university professor that says I could dress up like a dog and a cat and a woman, or some new subhuman sect or whatever. I'm not concerned with his impure mind has to think about anything. I'm not concerned. What I'm concerned is what Chazal teaches, what the sages are teaching us about Hakadosh Baruch Hu in His word, Hashem's word, right? So I need to be in a place of holiness. I need to be in a place of purity. That's it. The world has told me to be sexual. The world's told me to not value my bris milah. The world told me to go out and chase other women in the fulfillment and energy and connection. Women are in a place of impurity unless they're in the mikvah. Period. Period. Any touch, any touch, any touch, separation is kodesh. You can have any woman you want through separation. Guys think, oh, I gotta do. No, that's the goyish way. They use intimacy to a sexual intimacy to a dynamic of relationship. It's goyish. That's the goof. That's the goof. That's the body. There's nothing internal about that. Why not build an intimate relationship? Why not get to know the person? Why not build trust? Why not build those things? Oh, but that's too hard. Now you got to actually work on yourself. So, anyways, this is what we're working with. Them. You know, we have to understand that this is we don't. It's not even that we can have whatever we want. Hashem created the one. It's not like, oh, man, if I just follow God, I can have whatever I want. No, Hashem has already given to you. He's already given it to you. It's His will, His success, His whatever term you want to put to it. It's Him. You are the vessel, and you use your free will to stay pure. You stay pure, you stay in Kedusha, and you cannot lose. The Nachash is going to come. The serpent will come and tell you there's some other level you can achieve by defying God. That's the job of the Nachash. Okay. You can make the argument. If Hashem made life, reality more clear at that moment, Adam or Chava probably wouldn't have ate from the Eitz Hadas, right? There was a concealment there, and that's why, they ate from the Eitz Hadas. If it was full clarity, say the light of Shabbos existed during that time. I don't know. I'm just saying you could play with the thought. Anyways, the kids are um, we're walking up the mountain. I want to just remind the idea that the Zohar talks about in terms of the Temple Mount. It talks about this level of heaven, right? One of the highest levels of heaven, and it's a level of heaven where the righteous souls go, and it's kind of this heavenly place is shaped like a mountain, right? And all the righteous souls, this is the place they hang out at. It's like the ultimate like country club for righteous souls, and they're on this mountain. And within this mountain, there's a gateway inside of it. So imagine you have this big mountain, say it's like 1,000 feet, and there's just 1,000 feet up in the air, and it's just all these righteous neshamas are on this mountain in the heavens in this faraway place. But they said within the mountain there is a door and a gateway and a road that leads to a room where you could talk to God one on one. That's what it says, what the Zohar says. What does it mean, talk to God? I don't know. It's beyond my logic. I don't know what that means. But it does say that, and it says that the Temple Mount in this world resembles that in the heavens. The Holy of the Holies is reflective to that inner chamber of that mountain in the Shemayim, right? The mountain in the heavens that the Zohar speaks of, that all the holy souls dwell at and chill at. And he says within that mountain, there's this corridor that leads to a room that each of the souls could go and speak directly to God. The Zohar says this resembles the base of Migdash in the physical world. That's what Shlomo and Melech were making. That's how they were trying to bring the heavens to this world. They were trying to make a complete unification, a complete yichud between the upper worlds and the lower worlds by starting with the highest level, building the sanctuary in the heavens that the base of Migdash in the Lamazeh, this world resembles. If you could start there, that means you can build the whole world out to resemble it. Right? So Shlomo Melech with David the Melech, this is the vision of that. Completely bringing the heavens and the earth together. And that's what the base of Migdash represents. It creates a world where the heavens, the separation, the illusionary separation between the heavens and the earth is completely rectified and unified to deal with the base of Migdash. Because the base of Migdash resembles a structure of Shemayim. The Holy of the Holies, the Kohanim, the righteous souls on Yom Kippur, right, are reflected to the holy souls that go into that holy chamber in the heavens to speak directly to Hashem. So that's where we're at. We're building. We're clear. Otino, you got anything for us?
I don't know, Rob, you're cooking. You're cooking. I mean, Baruch Hashem, just that place of separation is so important to understand that it's not a detriment. It's actually, an advancement for yourself. Actually, elevates you to a different place. And really, it was powerful the concept of crowning Hashem as king for all things in your life. You know what I mean? It's seeing it, for one, everything is Gamzula Tova, everything that emanates from Hakodesh Baruch Hu is for the good. So once you have that understanding, once you have that, as the Ram Call tells us, the unity of Hashem is very firmly established within your conscious, within your psyche. Now you can see everything as it truly is for the best. So there's different levels of it. That's all it is. There is no, oh, the darkness is bad. No, the darkness can be a catalyst to take you to light that you could never even imagine. You have to, if you want to throw a ball, your arm goes backwards before you throw it. Okay. These things are just the mechanisms of the world, and you have to fine tune yourself through connection through the Torah, through Bittul, eliminating the ego, for you to truly see the magnificence of our Maker, for you to truly see how this world, the connectivity of it, how it all flows perfectly. There's nothing wrong with the world whatsoever. People are, I want to change the world. No, just turn the light on. You know what I mean? If you're in a dark room and you're stumbling, you're hitting stuff, you hit your head, hit your arm. You're like, oh man, I need to get out of here. No, just turn the light on. Now you're not stumbling. You're, oh, let me step this way. Let me step that way. So that's what it is. Just turn the light on. And the light is the Torah. The light is connectivity to Hashem. The light is purity. Rob, as you were saying, when Bnei Israel were in the wilderness, they were in Kadesh. That's separation. To make them Kodesh, to make them holy, you have to separate. You have to separate from the falseness of this reality. You have to separate from it. And that's why Hashem gave us the Kira. That's the free will for you to distinguish between one thing and the other. That's what makes mankind the crown of creation, because we have the ability of discernment, truly, and to tie it back to our Maker. So, as we go into Rosh Hashanah, crown Hashem as King, as Rav, as you said. You're good. What seems to be bad, it's all for the best. It's all from Hashem. It's all mechanisms to help elevate you, to help expand you, to help bring you to a place of completion. Baruch Hashem.
And then you can hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Right, enough of that. All right, so let's go a little bit into Kilach Yirtiyah we're in chapter 5. So this chapter, he's going into this idea of what is the spirit become visible. So this Hasim seems
Hold on, Rav. You're not as clear now.
Oh, okay. Is it better?
Yeah. Baruch Hashem.
Okay, cool. So it says the main news. It says like this: or the hazive. All right. So he says the Simpson has caused some of the lights to in radiance to be visible, whereas previously this applied even now to those levels where the Simpson does not reach. They could be seen or grasped in any way. This in this light that it permitted to be seen is called the emanated light, for it seems like a light that was newly generated, but the truth is that it is only a certain aspect of the primordial light. Those powers reduce through some. All right, I think we can understand what we're going. It says Akare Shenafaresh Metzitsut Ha-Simsum. Sirika Rifaresh Ma. So he says, now that we've introduced the Simpson, we must now trace the consequences starting from the very first. Halaki the Hazedat. Which is the proposal has two parts. These are the Simpson cause. This informs us the effect of the Simpson was able to destroy human beings. Yeah. And then the second part is in this light, and it further understands this effect. Simpson has a so he says the Simpson causes light and radiance to become visible. For you surely already know and understand that what is beyond boundaries and limits cannot be seen. Initially, the path of limitation. Initially, the path of limitation and boundaries subsumed the Ein was also available as much as it was subject to his all-encompassing limitlessness. Let's read that. He says, for surely we have already known and understand that what is beyond the boundaries limit cannot be seen. Okay, so we know that there's certain aspects we can understand and was it Pacific? I don't know. We can understand. Initially, the path of limitation and boundary submission of himself is also invisible, as much as the subject was encompassing to his limitless and all limits back beyond him. Okay. I think we're pretty clear on that. He says, but when the Samsung removed the aspect of limitless in its pathways, the pathways remained there. It became visible again. It became visible. Okay. So it's like this idea of how many stars are there in a galaxy, right? How many stars are there? Hold on. Let's see really quick. Let's look this up because we got Google. We got Google. Hold on.
Hey Rob, do you use chat?
You know what? I need to download, but I need to know what are the right ones to use.
I got you. Hey, chat is Baruch Hashem. Chat is
No,
crazy.
bro, I'm gonna start writing books, bro. But I'm just saying, like, I need to know what's the right chat GPT.
I got you.
Do you use it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Uh,
Stars in
I don't even. How do you share? Can you share it?
Can you see? Oh, hold on. I didn't do the right one.
Oh no, no, I'm sorry. No, you good. Talking about trying to share chat. Uh,
No, just send me the name of it.
got you. Um,
Okay, so they say like this. So the question is, how many stars are there in the galaxy? The astronomers estimate there's close to 20 billion, 200 billion trillion stars, or 20 sextrillion, is that how you say that? So there's 20 billion trillion stars in the galaxy, right? And, after Shabbos, we're looking for three stars, right? So there's certain lights that are permitted to this reality, and there's certain lights that we have no awareness of. So this is the dynamic of the Ein Sof and and oh, the sweeper pen. No, definitely not. It's not on the side by the refrigerator. Someone took it out of there. No, it's not in my room for sure. All right. Anyways, so yeah. So anyways, so okay, so there's certain lights that are revealed and there's certain lights that aren't, right? And so we can see that by this dynamic of the stars that there's a mechanism of why Hashem made the world in such a way that there's all these stars, and then some of them are connected to our, say, atmosphere, right? We're using some of these things for astrology and these type of things, but there's a whole bunch of other ones that are not. Okay, ChatGPT. Okay. So that's what we're dealing with here. He says, but when the limit, but when the Simpson remove the aspect, you found it, yeah. But when the Simpson removed the aspect of limitlessness from the pathway remained there and now became visible. This is what caused some lights to become visible. This is what the lights of which we spoke earlier, the Ein Sof, wanted to be accessible so that the attributes of the supreme law would appear by way of radiation of light and spirit. Okay, so yeah, again, that's the thing. So now that we're starting to see this relationship between the creation of how the upper worlds evolved, and then we see the relationship with halakha, right? The relationship with halakha. What does it mean? Relationship with halakha, meaning that what what the Torah law is asking of us, right? What the Torah law is asking of us, in essence, is to say that, hey, um, the Torah law is saying that, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this. But all of these things that we are supposed to do and not to do are based off of a whole series of things that happen in the heavens, right? And so what it's saying here is saying that we learned this idea earlier with it, but he's making it very clear that this idea of the visibility of those lights became through this process of Samsun. And so I'm comparing it to the idea of the 20 billion trillion, 200 billion trillion stars that they say exist in the universe, to the fact that after Shabbos, we're only looking for three stars to finish it, right? And then if we go even further past that, some people use stars as a way to understand astrology and these types of things, right? Okay, so that's what it is, right? And so that's the main idea, right? That's the main idea. Okay.
now, Rob, you're kind of going in and out.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's just digitizing a little bit.
All right, we'll try it out here. Is this okay? Is it better?
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, the kids are so anyway, so yeah, so that's the idea on this, right? So whatever, I think we could stop here because I think we're pretty much clear on these points. And I don't want to go too much further, but the key thing is we're going to touch base before Rosh Hashanah for sure. I'm going to be traveling to Haifa to do services for our community out there, and and so we should be able to do something while I'm traveling on the train. It's a
Hey,
pretty,
Rob,
it's not, yeah.
are you gonna like uh record content of that?
I won't be able to do it on the holidays itself, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I won't be able to do it on the holidays itself, but like the trip up there, whatever. Actually, one of the place where I'm at like I guess like 5 minutes away from where I'm staying at is where one of the ballistic missiles from Iran hit, and it hit right, and it just barely missed the yeshiva right
Mm.
next to it.
Uh,
So yeah, so I'll go over and check that out. Yeah, and I wish, but you never know. Someone who's not religious may pull out
mm,
and start filming. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I mean, I'm not pushing that, but it seems like a pretty. It's not. I don't know how big. I think it's gonna be less than like 50 people. You know what I'm saying? So out of that, I don't know. Like it's a group of people in Haifa that I don't know the whole situation. You know what I'm saying? Like I really don't. Like I don't know. I think it's like 50, but it could end up being close to 100. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it just depends how many people come out, when they come out, the whole thing. But I know for sure there'll be right as of right now. There's less than 50 signups. Like I'm talking about to have meals with me, like not just the services, but coming for the meals, and we're going to do all the different everything. A lot of these people are not religious, so we're going to make sure they hear the shofar and that type of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of I was because I always try to hear the shofar, and it's like typically just try to find something on YouTube or whatever. But like this
Yeah,
year, because Shane Rob is doing this, I'm like I need to hear Rob's shofar. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Brooke Shane, no workout.
yeah. It'll work out. It'll work out. The key thing is I don't know. We'll talk about it offline in terms of other things you could do, but let's continue on tomorrow, and or even actually later today. To be honest with you, like later
Yeah,
on today, we'll continue to do another one for the other family that's out there, and anyway, we'll just keep pushing it. But the key point is just being able to just identify like those places where we live at, and we don't put Hashem as king, right? In those places where our ego, our fear, our anger, our arrogance, our whatever takes over that experience instead of putting Hashem there.